All right, so Henry Cejudo vacated the UFC flyweight title, and Benavidez and Figueiredo are set to fight for that belt. Okay, there's a lot in that. First off, did he vacate the title? I really don't know. This kind of phenomenon started, and Henry may have vacated the title, but let me tell you, this phenomenon somewhat started with Daniel Cormier. Cormier was moving into the heavyweight class, but he happened to be the light heavyweight champion. They were going to strip him of the championship. For whatever reason, Cormier did not like the sounds of that. He did not think he deserved to be stripped. Largely, that had to do with the fact that Jon Jones was stripped, and Jon Jones was stripped for not being eligible for a license. He was on suspension. He was in handcuffs. There was all these different things that happened, but they were going to have to strip him. And Daniel goes, look, I don't want to be stripped because I don't want cloaked into the same brush that Jon was painted into. I don't want, because I didn't do anything wrong, so I want to vacate the title. I want to make very clear I'm going to relinquish the title. Now, Dana came out. Dana thought that was a little childish. He goes, hey, Dan, does it matter? It wasn't meant as an insult. The bottom line is you're going to go up to heavyweight. You're going to fight for the heavyweight title. You happen to be the heavyweight champ. Everything in your life is going well. Do you really need to relinquish as opposed to we strip you? Like, it sounds like we're saying the same thing, but it was important to Daniel. And fair enough. If something's important to Daniel and a guy who has done stuff, fair enough. But in that vein, I don't know, was Henry, did he relinquish the title or was he stripped of the title? Perhaps we will never know. If you ask Henry, he relinquished it. Fine, let's live with it and move on. But there was a big fear if Henry left that title behind that the entire division would go goodbye, okay? Now, you don't have to look back any further than January 18th of this year when Henry beat Dillashaw, and then Dana came out and said, we're going to keep that title around. Now, you could back up even further to when Henry beat Demetrius Johnson, and it looked as though that was going to be saved, but it was still on a little bit shaky ground. Dana said, no, we're keeping that around. Well, Henry never defended it since. He never fought in that category since. A lot of other fights happened. Division was forming. Got Joseph Benavidez, by example, goes on a tear. Starts to get some recognition, becomes a number one contender. But when it comes to Henry, were we left to believe that without Henry, we are going to be left without a division? Kind of. I mean, that would be a very reasonable place, very reasonable jumping off point. Turns out we're not. That's great news. That's incredible news. Now, whether that has to do with Figueiredo, Benavidez, this is just good news. And Benavidez deserves a title shot. I mean, guys, can we agree on that? My goodness, is there a guy that could have done anything more competitively to get a title shot than Joseph Benavidez? I don't think so. Not anywhere in the organization. So, great news for him. Great news for the entire division. Henry Cejudo. What do we do with him? Where does he go at 135 pounds? I mean, listen, there's a lot of talk about Jose Aldo. One thing I do like about Cejudo that he deserves credit for, he wants big fights. He wants money fights. He's made that clear. But he's also a champ, right? Champ. If you want to throw in the Olympics. This guy's done a lot. For him to take that I don't love the money fight talk. I don't love the give me a big fight talk. I'm kind of looking at it going, Henry, you're the champion of the world. Wherever you fight, it's going to be a main event. It's going to be a world title fight. That sounds like a pretty big fight to me. I want an even bigger fight. Okay, Henry, now you're being greedy. I like greed, though. I'm one of the guys that likes greed. I'm with you. But now you need a partner. Who's it going to be? So when Henry tried to start to align his own hopes, he started calling guys out. One thing about that is he called out some tough sons of bitches right there. I mean, he was going after Dominic Cruz. That's crazy talk. Nobody's ever called out Dominic Cruz. That's a hard night out. He's calling out Uriah Faber. That's a hard night out. He's calling out Jose Aldo. He's called out Frank Yeager. Look, these are all guys with big names, and are they veterans? And do many people turn to that and go, we'll get some new blood in there? Sure, that's fair for the conversation. That's just not the conversation I'm having right now. All I'm having the conversation on is he's calling out tough guys. Many people go, how can you call out Jose when he lost to Marlon? Well, what are you suggesting? That he call out Marlon? Yeah, you should call out Marlon. That's a fair fight. He just fought Marlon, newbie. Literally, Henry's last fight was Marlon, so don't act like he's afraid of Marlon. By the way, he stopped Marlon. Fantastic fight. Marlon's a great fighter. Marlon's a great choice. He just fought him. He's not great for parity reasons right now. In a couple of fights, yeah, Marlon's right back in there. So to call out Jose Aldo, a veteran who looked fantastic, by the way, the greatest featherweight of all time, who lives and goes down to the bantamweight division, who, by the way, many people thought beat Marlon. That's a hard fight. Does it make sense? I don't want to rewrite history, whether you agree with the decision or not. The decision is the decision, and Jose lost. I get it. And I'm not really bullish that that fight is going to happen. I'm just suggesting for you, when Henry's going through the call-out phase and he's relinquishing a belt, he's making it very clear that my next stand will be at 135. That is one thing that we get out of this. If you do look at Henry and you do look at the call-outs, man, these are some hard call-outs, so he wants a big fight. He wants both things to serve at the same time. That's what everybody wants. But Henry had the balls to come out and say it. And now he's got the courage to start to call out some guys and try to get them into the passenger seat. Start to pull them in here with him. He's not against fighting Jan. He's just arguing, look, Jan's not quite the name right now. Jan versus Aldo, name-wise, Aldo does win. Jan, competitively speaking, Jan wins. Who's going to win that argument? I don't know. That's not my point here. But I think for Henry to go out and try to steer it in the direction that he wants it, I think that's fair play, and I also think it's wise.